My brothers and sisters of Africa, my people of the Caribbean, sons and daughters of the same soil, though separated by seas, today, I stand not as the Prime Minister of Jamaica alone, but as a son of Africa, returning home in spirit to ask forgiveness, to offer tribute, and to ignite a flame that the world cannot extinguish. There comes a time in the life of a people when silence becomes betrayal. For too long, the children of the Atlantic have been divided, one half chained in memory, the other half chained in illusion. We built nations upon the bones of our ancestors. Yet we have forgotten to build bridges between our souls. Today, in the name of every Jamaican whose heartbeat carries the rhythm of the African drum, I say, we have come to make things right. The sum of $600 million, let it be known, is not a price tag upon forgiveness, nor an attempt to buy redemption. It is a symbol. It is the seed of reconnection. It represents the sweat and blood extracted from generations who worked the sugar fields, mined the bauxite, and filled the coffers of empires, while their mother continent, Africa, was looted, partitioned, and stripped of her dignity. Today, we return a fragment of what was taken, not by guilt, but by honor. President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, I speak your name with respect and conviction. You, like Sankara before you, have reminded the world that African dignity is not for sale. You have spoken truth to power, declaring that Africa must not kneel to the institutions that once enslaved it under new names and new chains. Your courage has rekindled the fire in the hearts of young Jamaicans, Ghanaians, Nigerians, Kenyans, and Haitians alike. When you speak, they see a reflection of what leadership should be: fearless, unbought, unapologetically African. This, my brothers and sisters, is not merely a gesture of goodwill between two nations. It is the beginning of a moral and spiritual restitution between Africa and her diaspora. We, the Caribbean, the descendants of stolen Africans, owe a debt not of money, but of loyalty. For centuries we have sung of freedom, yet lived in the shadows of dependence. Our youth dance to rhythms born in African soil. Our tongues twist in Creole born from African mothers, yet our politics, our education, and our economies remain captive to the logic of foreign powers. Today, I say to those powers, we are not your children anymore. The Caribbean will no longer serve as a museum of colonial nostalgia or a laboratory of debt. We will no longer host foreign investors who take without building, nor institutions that lend without love. If Africa has chosen to stand, then Jamaica must not remain seated. This $600 million gesture, this apology fund, will serve as the cornerstone of a new partnership between Kingston and Ouagadougou, between the Caribbean and Africa. It will fund educational exchange, agricultural innovation, renewable energy, and cultural revival. It will bring our scholars together, our farmers together, our artists and engineers together, because unity without substance is a dream. But unity with purpose is destiny. Let the world understand what this means. It is not Jamaica apologizing for being strong. It is Jamaica recognizing the injustice that divided one people into two continents. It is Jamaica saying, we remember you, Mother Africa, not as a myth, but as our origin, our unfinished journey. Some may mock this gesture. Some may call it political theater, a mere performance of contrition. But those who mock it do not understand the sacred wound we share. They do not understand that a people severed from their roots are like trees that cannot bear fruit. For too long, Africa has been told she is poor. For too long, the Caribbean has been told she is small. Yet, when you look at the gold of Burkina Faso, the oil of Nigeria, the bauxite of Jamaica, the diamonds of Congo, and the spirit of our youth, tell me, where is the poverty? The poverty lies not in our land, but in the greed that drains it. The true wealth of Africa and the Caribbean lies in their people, and those people are rising. President Traoré, I speak to you not as a distant observer, but as a brother who has walked the path of resistance in another tongue. You remind us that leadership is not measured by the comfort of the powerful, but by the courage to tell the truth when the world prefers lies. We have lived too long under the shadow of dependency, where every development plan is written abroad. Every solution imported, every young mind told that hope lies in leaving home. That era ends now. This apology, this $600 million seed, is not charity, it is investment in dignity. It is the foundation for an Africa-Caribbean renaissance that the world cannot ignore. We will build universities together that teach not just the economics of survival, but the philosophy of liberation. We will exchange teachers, doctors, and inventors, not to escape our nations, but to rebuild them together. And to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica who may ask, why Africa? Why now? I answer, because it is time we return the favor history denied us. Africa gave us life and we owe her our loyalty. Every drumbeat in reggae, every verse of Rastafari, every cry for justice in the slums of Kingston is an echo of Africa calling her children home. When we say one love, we must mean it. When we say out of many, one people, we must live it. And when we see Africa rise under leaders who dare to speak truth, we must not envy, we must join. To those who fear this movement, who whisper that Jamaica is turning its back on the West, I say this, we are not turning away. We are turning inward toward our own reflection. We are turning to the roots that feed us, not the branches that shade us. Let the IMF hear us. Let the World Bank hear us. Let every empire built on African labor hear us. Africa is not your project. Africa is not your pipeline. Africa is not your pawn, and Jamaica will not be your proxy. We are brothers and sisters reclaiming what was broken, and if that makes the world tremble, so be it. To my fellow Jamaicans, do not see this as money leaving your hands, but as history returning your soul. We have spent centuries building economies that were never ours. Let us spend this century rebuilding the future that is ours by right. If this apology shocks you, good. It should. Because truth should shock us awake. We were not born to be overseers of other people's wealth, nor beggars at another man's table. We were born to be custodians of our own destiny. Burkina Faso has shown the world that courage is contagious. Now Jamaica must prove that solidarity is unstoppable. The $600 million pledge will be remembered not as a transaction, but as a transformation. The day we declared that the black world will no longer apologize for existing, but the world will apologize for underestimating us. My brothers and sisters, this is not the end of a speech, it is the beginning of a new covenant. For too long, we have spoken of unity as a dream. Today, we declare it a duty. The chains that once bound our ancestors have long since rusted away, yet the invisible chains of doubt and division still hold our minds. We must break them, link, by choosing cooperation over competition, dignity over dependence. Love over fear. Africa and the Caribbean must no longer exist as two continents separated by water. We must become one archipelago of purpose stretching across the Atlantic. The currents that once carried slave ships must now carry ships of trade, education, and technology. The same winds that once drove our ancestors into exile must now drive us toward reunion. Imagine it, a flight from Kingston to Ouagadougou, filled not with tourists seeking escape, but with engineers, teachers, and farmers carrying the knowledge to rebuild. Imagine African universities hosting Jamaican students and Jamaican labs researching Africa's solar wealth. Imagine a Pan-African digital network where we trade directly, learn directly, and speak without translators because the language of dignity needs no translation. This is the age of the black world's renaissance. We have waited too long for others to write our story. It is time we hold the pen ourselves. When the world looks at our lands, it still sees resources to exploit. But when we look at each other, we must see family to uplift. The minerals of Congo, the oil of Nigeria, the cocoa of Ghana, the bauxite of Jamaica, the music of Trinidad, the intellect of Kenya, these are not isolated treasures. They are threads of the same garment. When woven together, they can clothe generations in prosperity. Let me say this clearly to every global power listening. Our unity is not a threat. It is a correction. It is the balancing of a scale that has been tilted for 500 years. The world cannot preach equality while profiting from inequality. We extend our hands not in defiance but in partnership, a partnership based on respect, not subservience, on trade, not tribute, on dialogue. not dictation. We will build our own financial institutions, banks that understand the rhythm of our economies, funds that invest in our farmers and innovators instead of draining them with interest. We will trade in our own currencies. We will teach economics that reflect our realities, history that honors our heroes, and science that serves our people. And to the youth from Kingston to Kigali, I say, do not wait for permission to believe in yourselves. The world will not hand you dignity, you must seize it. You are the sons and daughters of survivors, the living proof that even when the ocean tried to erase us, we learned to breathe underwater. Lift your heads high. You are not the descendants of slaves, you are the descendants of enslaved kings and queens who refuse to die. When I see the faces of our children, whether in the villages of Burkina Faso or the classrooms of Jamaica, I see the same spark, curiosity, creativity, and courage. It is that spark we must protect from the storms of corruption and despair. We must build nations where leadership is service, not privilege, where public office is not a prize but a pledge, where the measure of progress is not skyscrapers but smiles, not GDP but dignity for generations. We have been told to be patient, to wait for development, to wait for fairness, to wait for the world to see us. My friends, patience is a virtue only when justice is on the way. When justice delays, patience becomes surrender. And we will not surrender. Our partnership with Africa will not be written in aid agreements but in the language of mutual respect. We will share technology, protect the environment, and defend our sovereignty together. From the Sahel to the Caribbean Sea, we will build renewable energy grids powered by the sun that has always watched over us. We will protect our waters from exploitation, our soil from depletion, and our youth from migration born of despair. To those who say these dreams are too bold, I remind them our ancestors were told that freedom itself was impossible. Yet here we stand. We will establish the Pan-African University of the Atlantic, a home of learning that belongs to both continents. We will send our best minds not abroad to serve strangers, but home to serve our people. Let the world know the era of apology without action is over. We apologize, yes, but we also arise. Our words are not a confession of weakness, but a declaration of renewal. And to my brothers and sisters across the Caribbean who still wrestle with doubt, I say this: reconnecting with Africa does not diminish our identity. It completes it. We are not giving away $600 million. We are reclaiming 1 billion souls. When the trumpet of liberation sounded in the 20th century, it was the sound of independence. The trumpet that sounds now calls for interdependence, nations that stand tall together, not apart. Let us honor our heroes not by quoting them but by finishing their work. Let us honor Marcus Garvey not by reciting his speeches but by living his dream of a united black world. Let us honor Nanny of the Maroons by defending every inch of our sovereignty. Let us honor Thomas Sankara by creating governments that serve, not rule. Let us honor Bob Marley by turning one love from a song into a system. To every nation that still carries the scars of colonialism, whether on African soil or Caribbean sand, let this moment remind us: healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering without being enslaved by the memory. I call upon the African Union and the Caribbean community to join hands and create the Atlantic Compact for Shared Prosperity, a partnership of equals, governed by transparency, justice, and courage. Let our ports trade in fairness. Our schools exchange students, our media tell our stories. Our embassies coordinate our defense against exploitation. No longer shall others define our borders or our futures. The Atlantic was once our graveyard. Now it must become our bridge, brothers and sisters. I have seen the faces of Jamaican fishermen, Ghanaian miners, Nigerian mothers, Haitian teachers, Burkina soldiers, all weary from struggle yet unwilling to give up. These faces are my scripture. From them I read the gospel of resilience. The world may not celebrate this day. The markets may tremble, the pundits may mock, the powerful may plot, but history will remember. Because history always remembers the day people decide to be free. Freedom is not a destination. It is a discipline, a daily act of defiance against fear. And today, in this hall, we defy fear. To every young African and Caribbean watching, know this: your ancestors are not watching from the past, they are walking beside you in the present. They whisper in your conscience. They breathe in your courage. Every time you refuse corruption, every time you speak truth to power, every time you plant a seed instead of despair, you are continuing their revolution. We are not here to rebuild the old world. We are here to build a new one, a world where no child dies for lack of medicine while gold and oil leave the country untouched. A world where no farmer starves because imported food has killed his market. A world where no student is told his skin limits his genius. This is not utopia. This is justice delayed, and we are the generation that refuses further delay. Let me tell you what will happen after today. Some will say we have angered our partners. Some will say we are naive. But soon, those same critics will come to our ports to trade fairly. They will come to our universities to learn. They will come to our energy projects to invest. Because the world always respects those who respect themselves, and we, the children of the Atlantic, are learning once more to respect ourselves. So to President Traoré and to every African leader who stands tall under the weight of history, know that the Caribbean stands with you. Know that from Kingston to Dakar, from Port-au-Prince to Addis Ababa, your courage is contagious. Let us make this the century of Black cooperation, the century where the children of the enslaved and the colonized become architects of progress. The hour is late, but the dawn is near. If the 19th century belonged to the conquerors and the 20th to the colonizers, then let the 21st belong to the creators, to us. And when our grandchildren ask what we did when the world doubted our worth, we will tell them we remembered who we were. We will tell them of this day, the day a small island and a proud continent decided to walk together again. We will tell them that the apology was not a surrender, but a song, not an end, but a beginning, not a debt paid, but a bond renewed. And we will tell them that the song we sang was not reggae, or highlife, or calypso. It was freedom. My beloved brothers and sisters, let us rise from the dust of division and build an empire of unity. Let our generation be remembered not for what we inherited, but for what we restored. May the ancestors bless this covenant. May our children live the fruit of this labor, and may the world know, from this day forward, Africa and the Caribbean stand as one people, one destiny, one love.